Two wilderness journeys serve as metaphors for Lent. The 40 days that Jesus spent being tempted and tried, and the 40 years that Moses and the children of Israel wandered lost. We are now in the deepest, darkest part of Lent. And we find ourselves suddenly also in a wilderness as a nation and human race. I hope that everything we offer in our online services will be useful to you, however you experience this wilderness and wherever it leads from here. As a call to worship, I thought I would share a hymn I wrote several years ago. I had left a church that I loved because I felt the Spirit calling me to serve in a new and exciting way, and I had a clear vision of that promised land, but I took literally one step the first day toward it, and immediately entered a long, terrible wilderness of sickness, social isolation, and grief. It was my personal version of what the world is going through now. This hymn describes my devastation and the spiritual path that got me through it. The hymn begins, "The wilderness is dark tonight. No path ahead, no star above. No distant window throwing light to guide me home to hope and love. The Spirit's dove first drove me here. It left me then, alone and lost in desert wastes of thirst and fear, a land faith tells me must be crossed." God inspired Moses to enter the wilderness with a vision of the promised land, and the Holy Spirit came down as a dove and drove Jesus into the wilderness. But once there, the children of Israel wanted to give up and go back to slavery. And Jesus, we have to believe, was tempted to take the easy way out, escaping into pleasure or power. Spiritual wisdom says that we cannot undergo the needed transition and reach the promised land of a new and better way of being without accepting the work that the wilderness demands. So the hymn goes on. The Spirit asks I leave behind the comforts I have craved and known. It asks that I renew my mind. A birth like death, my prayer a groan. A wilderness of stone and dust can tempt the strongest faith to doubt. It strips my soul to one last trust. God led me here. God will lead out. So Jesus came out of the wilderness calling us to undergo metanoia, meaning to move beyond where our heart and mind are now, to be reborn at a new developmental level, closer to the Spirit-filled heart and mind of Christ. Like any birth, it takes dying to our old ways, and that is painful. A spiritual wilderness asks us to let go of everything and trust, turning our wills and our lives over to God, so that the Spirit can help us then see and live in new ways. The hymn ends, "O God of Moses, God of Christ, I turn to you to find my way. I offer all they sacrificed. Your will, the one will I obey. For you, the smallest step I take. For you, each work of word or hand. And then night lifts, light comes. I wake to find this is the promised land." So our wilderness task is to make each step true. If we enter each moment with the intention that our words and our actions will be Spirit-led and serve God's realm of compassion, justice, and love, then each step brings us a glimpse of that light and a feeling of home. We arrive in each moment then to find the promised land. So our wilderness is transformed one step at a time. The church is here to help us with its collected wisdom and with company for the journey, whatever our wilderness, whatever way we each choose to take, whatever promised land we hope to reach. So let us worship together. And please join Becky Bailey singing this hymn in the next video and make it your own.